Hey, good morning or evening. This is Madam Eileen, and we're going to do another painting technique with the flat brush because I believe these are very essential. So I'm going to pause a moment and we're going to travel down to my workstation. All right, for this essential brush practice is tier, uh, your curved stroke. I'm going to wet my brush, wipe off the extra. I'm going to I call this my fire cake. I'm going to load up yellow, orange, and red on my brush. So there we go. Now fire is always light at the top, dark at the bottom. The letter C is done by just picking a point. Should do it in the center. Pick a line to start off, and you go up, you curve it out, and you go down. This shape I call the letter C because sideways you'll see that it's just a letter C. You just drag it out a little further, curve it down. Your letter C's can go wide or they can go short. You want to do letter C's going from top to bottom, left to right, even diagonal. But one thing you need to know, if you let this dark edge lead, like if I'm yellow's at the top, the red's at the bottom, if I let the red lead, my tip is going to drag in the red, and my yellow line is going to start becoming more orange. That is one of the follies of letting red lead. Now, to get a nice crisp yellow edge back, I might want to wipe it on a wet tissue. Give a little spray of water into my split cake and match the colors up. And now we can do it again. But this time I'm going to let the yellow lead. When I go down, that's just beautiful. I have to be cautious though when I lift up. I turn my brush a little sideways so that the yellow doesn't drag through that red. Now I kind of like the way that looks. I'm going to do it again. Is this starting to look familiar? We are making fire. You can do fire just by doing a series of letter C's from different angles. This is red leading. I could even turn it around and I can do yellow. So there's a letter C, and I'm going to do a letter C, and I'm going to do a letter C going in the other direction and up. So you want to trace the outline of your fire with the leading color. You can even take the edge and you can do touch-ups. And this tells me that my yellow has dragged and touched the red again. You can fill in spaces like this by just taking the color you want to mix and fill in that edge. Of course, by now that yellow is thoroughly, nicely muddied in our flame. So you can continue making little C-shaped little flames, but it's all going to be dark. So your dark flames would be here at the bottom. And then you just get creative with your letter C's. Mostly they're C's pointing up. So these are the essential strokes you want to practice. You want to practice doing these short curves. The broad, long curve is usually used for rainbows, but what if I was painting a crown? I could take this and I could just, a bow, a long curve is just a long exaggerated C. The only difference is the C goes up and the C comes down. That's the only difference between your curve and your C stroke practices. If I was going around an I, here's an I would do a C, pull it down, and go into a C. The curved point pulls people's attention directly to the eyes rather than just being a splash of color there. And then you can just add your dots, your stars, add a sparkle to your split cake. Or if you want to add some interest to your split cake, you load up your white and the dark edge. Dark edge, you might just give a little highlight. For that dark area is where you want to put your star, and your dots can go out into the sparkle, but your main splash of color, like a star to draw people's attention, this paint's still wet. So when I try to do the star, it smears more into a pink rather than a white. But this is the C stroke. Very essential, especially for making flames or getting more crisp and being more exact in where your lines are going to be. If you're doing a butterfly, this part is very interesting. Let's see, where did I put that sponge? Okay, so say you have a sponge. You load it up. I'm going to load it up with pink. And here's the eye. There's your eye. I'm going to load up this pink, and I'm going to just do a general butterfly wing on the top and on the bottom. You can just see it's just very light. It's just some underneath color. I'm going to load up just a little more paint onto my fire brush. Here's how else you can apply the C curve. I could do my C curve at a diagonal like this. Up, down, and in. And do another C smaller, and then another C that's smaller. I can do that on the bottom here too. I'm flipping it because I want the dark color on the outside. A big C, little C, smaller C. And it adds a lot of extra interest in your butterfly design that you're doing around a child's eye. So go ahead and practice doing a light side on the outside, practice doing dark on the outside. This is a very essential stroke if you are doing roses. A rose would be a C, up and down, just like that. Give it a minute to dry, and then you do a C going up. And you have a little rose drop. I'm going to do a big C, and now I'm going to do a little C. You can have a lot of fun. Here's a big C, here's a little C going only halfway, and it starts looking like a curve. So what if you wanted to do a painting of a scroll or a document? This is one way to do your ribbon. You do a C, you do an upside down C, and then you do a curve. And then you do another curve with the opposite side of your brush. And you can see how you start getting that scroll appearance. Now we want it to roll up the other way. So we're going to roll it close. We're going to do letter C there, and the letter C there. And then you just use the tip of your brush and you fill in the light area and then curve in the dark. So have fun experimenting and playing around with the curve and the C. This is the C combined with the curve can make some really great designs. Have a good time painting.